Hello, I'm Zai. Welcome back to Tokyo Necro. I actually just took a nap before starting the episode. A nap is actually something not that common in my day-to-day schedule. I have a pretty good sleeping schedule, right? Usually after I'm finished with these recording sessions, I would take a small bath before I go to bed, which is nowadays is about 10 p.m., maybe 11 p.m. the latest. I wake up at 4 a.m. to get some food. That's usually when I get hungry, so that's my breakfast time. And I would sleep again and wake up at about 7 a.m. Before, I was already sleeping at about 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. But my sleeping time would be a lot longer. So sometimes I would wake up at 10 a.m., sorry. But yeah. I took about a 2-hour nap or something today. So pretty rare occurrence. But alright, let me recap what happened last episode. Milgram killed off Sophia with Yamanuma and has taken over the Tokyo Mega Float. And right now we are trying to get back Iria, which surprisingly Iria is not dead yet. And surprisingly even more, she's not even a living dead. That caught me off guard, but we don't know. There's a chance that she might be a living dead at this point, but the game just hasn't told us yet. They might, make it a surprise. Maybe it might be one of the twists at the end. And yeah, we're teaming up with Hokuyasu and going to the Tokyo Mega Float. We've already infiltrated it with Kansu's help. And also Subcon, I guess. But, yeah. I stopped at exactly the point where Kansu helped us. So, let's continue. There we go. The alarm stops. All of the lights on the Mega Float go off, and the armored walking vehicles stop shooting at us. It looks like Kansu managed to hack the system.
Thank you, Su-chan. あとは任せてゆっくり休んで。
Kansu's just gotten off the highway, and her voice is heavy with exhaustion. Normally, Etika would be overjoyed, but today she sounds hesitant. And even though Kansu can't see her face, she's looking down apologetically.
ごめんね、すーちゃん。私帰ったらちゃんと告白しなきゃいけない人が。
That's a death flag, Etika. The alarm starts ringing again, drowning out the end of Etika's sentence. Yeah, the tank class. The armored walking vehicles were operated by the AAS, but it's necromancers who control the living dead. The anti-aircraft missiles they fire leave vivid red trails behind them as they slowly home in on our gunship. I can feel the G-forces in my body as we turn sharply. There's an explosion and the vulture shakes violently. So we can just bypass that once the AAS is actually turned off. Interesting. The Major General deploys the emergency brakes and the gunship descends rapidly, grazing past the missiles and the flare bombs. We then pierce the artificial membrane and make our way into the living city. The city within is completely unlike the familiar streets of Tokyo, but there is no time to gawk. We're heading straight for the group of heavily armed living dead. There's also a few tank-class living dead with missile launchers, railguns, and other heavy artillery on their backs. The Major General launches the Vulture's air-to-surface smart missiles. A series of explosions light up the dark megafloat, dyeing everything a vivid red. He then starts firing the Vulture's electric 30mm chain gun. It tears through the army of hi-fis without giving them a chance to fight back. I see now why the Major General was chosen to lead the close quarters armed martial arts training unit. That was a swift and overwhelming display of force. The Vulture pivots and starts climbing. Our destination is the top floor of the Empire Energy Corps' headquarters, which is at the center of the city. Now that the hi-fis have been dealt with, we should be met with only sporadic resistance from the remaining enemies. Well, that was pretty easy. I thought that the hi-fi would be a lot harder to deal with. We can ignore them and head straight to the ringleader, Milgram. If we can just kill him, this whole crisis will be over. When the Vulture reaches the top floor, the Major General holds us in place and fires the gunship's coil laser at the wall. So this is the first time we see this. Chemical oxygen iodine laser. Vultures are equipped with these. They're not gonna tell me anything else about this? The blinding beam of light slices through the wall like a hot knife through butter. It's made of that life material that Sophia spoke of in her interview, though, and it starts repairing itself immediately. I activate my X-Brain. I actually thought after what we saw in Soen's perspective there, where he said he was gonna surpass his dad, he would not be using his X-Brain. My trustworthy partner agrees with Major General Kabanohara and suggests that I jump into the building.
わかりました。
親父はどうする？
船を下ろしたから乗り込む。先にミルグラムを片付けてもらえると助かるな。
Wow, he's actually smiling. Etika looks blankly at her father for a second, then laughs. I think the Major General might have just cracked a joke. There's no time to chat though. The building wall is rebuilding itself with alarming speed. The two of us gather our resolve and jump inside. Etika lands a few seconds after me. She turns back to the rapidly closing hole and shouts.
ミルグラムは一足先に倒しとくかな。
Major General Kabanohara, the man feared in Tokyo as the Iron Tyrant, cracks a small smile. Is he gonna die? That was pretty underwhelming if he dies out of nowhere like that. The Vulture explodes. A surprise attack from above damages the propellers, and the giant hunk of metal starts to tilt as the Major General loses control.
親父！
Etika sticks her head out of the self-repairing hole and looks down at the Vulture. But no voice answers from her connery. Did the Major General just lose connection? Or is he... Soon enough, the wall is fully repaired. Etika swerves back, and she slumps to the ground, defeated. There's no way for us to see what's happening outside now. Was the gunship able to make a safe landing? My X-Brain suggests getting out of this room immediately. But I ignore it. Words of comfort won't be any help. I just wait quietly for Etika to get up. It's up to her to sort out her feelings. And I know Kibanohara Ethica is capable of that.
悪いそう待たせたな
I mean, I guess it's a form of... What is it? Courtesy? To not leave Ethica behind like that? I don't know, maybe I'm just a weird guy, but it feels like the X-Brain suggestion is actually, like... you know, like, in that situation, it was making a good enough or a good, like, suggestion. Why would we stay there and see her, like, be vulnerable? I think most people would probably not want people to see them at their weakest. Like, you know, at that point, I think I might be crying or something, right? We could just wait outside or something.
大したロスじゃない。でも、急ぐに越したことはない。
Then again, maybe the X-Brain actually wants Soen to leave Ethica behind.
だな
I purposely use the same tone I always do when we're on the job. When we came up with this plan to break into the living city, I thought about what weapons might be best to take. But in the end, I settled on just my 2 real eliminators. And Ethica brought just her beloved chainsaw and automatic shotgun. The weapons we're most familiar with are the ones we can trust to have our back in a pinch.
じゃあ楽しいお仕事行きますか
Ethica activates her X-Brain without me even saying anything, which is a first. We run down the hallway, which is illuminated by dim emergency lights. 5 SAD soldiers armed with rifles block our path.
Go.
Because of how narrow the hallway is, most of them end up shooting their own allies instead of us. But none of them seem to mind.
ハイファイにする余裕もなかったってとこか
だな。
私が行くぞ
Ethica sprints down the hall, weaving her way between bullets with deft footwork. This is the first time we see the interior of this place, by the way. So basically, new background CG. She lops off the arm of the living dead closest to us, kicks the machine gun out of his newly detached arm, and uses him as a meat shield. Streams of dusky red spill from the soldier as Ethica slowly advances forward. I don't know why we're looking at their thighs, but okay. Once she's close enough, she ducks low and shoves her way into the group of soldiers. Now she's surrounded on all sides by the remaining 4 living dead.
来いよ
But dangerous situations like these are her forte. Typo there. First, she cuts down the enemy in front of her, then ducks again to avoid the shots from the enemy to her right, causing him to shoot his own ally. At the same time, she launches a back kick at the soldier behind her, knocking his gun upwards. Twirling around, she cuts the enemy to her left in half, then knocks the enemy to her right back with a roundhouse kick. At some point in all of this, she managed to draw her shotgun and uses it to blow the face of the enemy behind her. She then mercilessly stabs the neck of the final living dead, who's still off balance from the roundhouse kick. The massacre only took a few seconds. What happened to Major General Kibanohara doesn't seem to be affecting her at all. I heard Ethica was shot in the stomach by the centaur-type hi-fi living dead back on the ship. But it looks like that wound's healed enough to not bother her either.
どうよ
A hulking black monster appears behind Ethica as she grins triumphantly. It's a heavily armed living dead. Chances are, it's one of the hi-fis Milgram made, seeing as Ethica fought an identical one back at Endless Summer. That was the brothel, right? Been a long time since we actually heard that name.
行くぞソン
True to form, Ethica bellows a spirited war cry before charging forward. There is one thing she's doing differently today, though. She's already activated her X-Brain and linked it to mine. As she already fought this enemy type once before, our X-Brains are able to jointly analyze its tendencies and figure out its weak points. Ethica rapid fires her full auto shotgun as she pushes forward. The bullets don't do much damage, but they do succeed in distracting the high-fi. She deftly dodges the machine gun fire it retaliates with and continues pressuring it with her shotgun. But she's outmatched when it comes to firepower and is slowly forced in the defensive. She ducks behind a nearby wall and the 12.7mm machine gun bullets tear through the blue life material. It isn't able to repair itself fast enough to block all the shots, and one of the bullets grazes Ethica's shoulder. Her job is to be the bait. My job is to take the hi-fi down. That's what our X-Brains decided is the most optimal strategy. I nimbly approach the distracted living dead, narrowly avoid its outstretched left arm, and use its knee as a launching point to jump onto its back. It tries to shake me off, but I wrap my legs around its neck and hang on tight to keep myself anchored. I was gonna say they surprisingly didn't have any 3D models for this fight, but I guess that's because this fight doesn't last that long. I then fire both of my real eliminators into its head at point-blank range. No matter how heavily armored a hi-fi is, all you have to do is destroy its brain to take it down. You know, how... I don't know if it's difficult or not to place the brain in a different part of the body. But with how we saw what happened with Pavlov, you'd think that the living dead would be experimented on and put their brain somewhere else in their body to, you know, make it not obvious where their weak point is. We're in perfect sync. If our X-Brains are synchronized as well, then maybe...
So?
I shake off that unwanted memory and continue down the hall. We climb the stairs all the way up to the building's top floor. The holographic sign nearby tells us that this is the CEO's office. We don't know where exactly this Megafloat Milgram is, but you can control the entire island from this office. If he isn't here, how do we know about that? Huh. We can still look for him using the office's facilities. Moreover, we might be able to get Konsu to give us control of the city's security robots. That would make chasing him down a lot easier. We kick open the office door. Violent gusts of wind blow through the room. I've seen this office many times before, on TV. But we don't know about the thing being the place where you can control everything, though. There's a single woman lying on the floor next to the camera in a pool of her own blood. It's Sophia Korazaki. Apparently, no one moved her after her former subordinate, Yamanuma Kagekatsu, shot her in the head. Her brains are leaking out of her cracked skull. It's a rather ghastly sight. I wouldn't mind actually seeing the CG of her dead body instead of just a hand. To be honest, I probably appreciate that a lot more than the 8 scenes that we get. Ethica and I spread out and make sure the room's safe. There's nothing moving in the room. And since Sophia was shot in the head, not even Lemurs could turn her into a living dead. Ethica crouches down next to Sophia.
ひでえやり口だな。山沼だっけ？人間とは思えねえぜ。まあ、生きてる時もひでえやつだったけど。
確かに。
Had Yamanuma already been turned into a living dead by the time I met him on the warship? Probably.
指にリングが。
Not the Conry? Etika reaches for Sophia's hand. The ring on Sophia's finger looks like a conry, but
ダメだ。
おい、何すんだ。
ブービートラップだ。
は？
right on cue, we hear footsteps behind us. It's Yamanuma Kagekatsu, the commander of the Empire Energy Corps' Special Activities Division. His white uniform is splattered with blood. I fire a volley of 6 shots into Yamanuma's torso. Even if they didn't penetrate his coat, the impact would make a normal person grimace in pain at the very least. But the blood dripping from Yamanuma's wounds is dark and murky. Dusky red. Without any change in expression, Yamanuma draws a pistol and fires. His target isn't me, but rather Sophia Kawarizaki's corpse. I guess they put a bomb there? The bullet blows off the pin in her finger. Oh! Activating the aerial frag grenade hidden beneath her body. The walls aren't sturdy enough to protect us from the shrapnel explosion. Etika and I dive under Sophia's desk, scrambling for space. The unpleasant sound of flesh bursting apart fills the room. I frown as I imagine what must have happened to Sophia's body.
生きてても死んでても血も涙もねえな。
I was gonna say, what made him heartless to kill off Sophia by shooting her in the head? But I guess now he's pretty heartless.
同感。
I would prefer to capture him alive so we can get Iria and Milgram's locations out of him. The problem is, he's already a living dead. Torture doesn't work on an emotionless, fearless zombie that feels no pain. My ex-brain agrees that the best course of action is to re-kill him. Yamanuma advances, bringing the fight into close quarters. His fighting skills are top-notch, which makes sense, considering he's the commander of the Special Activities Division. On top of that, he knows how to take full advantage of his inability to feel pain. Fortunately, the martial arts we've trained in specialize in dealing with just such opponents. I thrust my muzzle spike into Yamanuma's heart. Etika then blows the arm he's using to protect his head off with her shotgun. We shoot his legs, kick his gun out of his remaining hand, and drive him to a corner of the room. After the heat of the previous explosion fades, a frigid gust of wind comes in. Yamanuma probably shot down Major General Kabanohara's vulture from his room's window. I don't want to waste even a second more dealing with this scumbag. I press my pistol into his head and... he opens his mouth for the first time this fight. I was wondering why he was just using like grunts like that, yeah. He pulls the pin from the grenade with his remaining arm. Using living dead as suicide bombers is one of the most basic tactics necromancers employ. The realization comes too late. Etika and I immediately jump back, and a second later, our entire vision goes white. Okay, this is a flashback. It's time. That was what Milgram told Iria. He places her in stun cuffs, then starts leading her down from the top floor. Suddenly, alarms blare and the elevator comes to a halt. The doors open automatically, revealing the spacious first-floor lobby. The lights are off. The only illumination comes from the large cylindrical tank in the center of the room.
来たか。
Milgram takes Siria's hand and leads her across the lobby as gunfire can be heard from outside. He looks calm, as though he expected this development. Upon stepping outside, he sees a vulture hovering alongside the building's top floor. It's using a laser to drill a hole into the wall of the room Milgram and Iria were in moments ago. Once an opening has been made, 2 figures jump into the building. Did they come here to save me? Iria wonders. A second later, an explosion rocks the vulture. As the fuselage starts to tilt, Another missile hits it from the ground, and the gunship goes down in a ball of flame.
こっちだ。
Milgram drags Iria back inside. There's a loud crash behind him, and the ensuing explosion momentarily illuminates the room. Why is this place, like, out of energy?
ここで待っている。
It doesn't make sense for the place to, you know, be dark. Milgram stops at the landing of the staircase leading to the basement, and manipulates the nearby life material with a quick multi-flick. He then hangs Iria's stun cuffs from the hook he just created. Once this is done, he returns to the site of the explosion. I guess Hokuyasu is gonna be facing him first. I don't doubt that, you know, Hokuyasu is still alive at this point. He can't die that way, that was way too easy. Iria shakes her arms, but she's unable to get her cuffs off of the hook. Were this Tokyo, the hook could be made of rusty material that would crumble at the slightest touch, but no. Iria shakes her head. There's no point in wishing for an easy solution. Soen and Ethica came here at great risk to their lives to rescue her. The least you can do is be less of a burden to them. If only her connect ring were active, Iria could at least manipulate the life material to break her restraints. Unfortunately, the stun cuffs are preventing her from sending any inputs to her conry. But there must be something she can still do. Suddenly, the force keeping her pinned against the wall disappears. Iria turns around to see that the hook Milgram had created has vanished. She examines her stun cuffs to see if they're still functioning. But to her surprise, they've come off. In their place is her tone graph, shimmering above her palm. It's faint. But Iria can hear Subcon singing. She hesitates for only a moment. Iria regained all of her memories when she visited the fortress. Even about Kansu? She knows now that Subcon has been calling for her this whole time. Subcon is the one who removed her stun cuffs too. Iria races down the stairs, heading towards Subcon, toward that singing voice. The green light alone illuminates the spiral staircase. If Iria's guess is correct, this is the heart of the living city. As she draws closer to the Megafloat's core, Subcon's singing grows louder. The song resonates deeply with Iria, thanks to her enhanced empathy. When she was in the Ikebukuro CPC, she didn't even know she was being experimented on, or for what purpose. All she knew was that every day was suffering. She watched as the children living with her were slowly reduced to vegetables one by one. In order to properly sift through information on the highway, what a person needs isn't advanced analytical skills. It's a highly honed intuition and keen senses. The empathy-related experiments Iria underwent also helped develop her programming skills. After the Ikebukuro CPC closed down, it was those skills that saved her. The reason Amachi Juichiro negotiated with Kuroshima Michiya to take her in was because she had demonstrated a remarkable degree of enhanced empathy. While she was confined in Amachi's fortress, Iria continued refining her skills alone. Amachi's death in this route, along with Mitsumi's route, were pretty underwhelming too, I think. In Milgram's route, or in the route where Milgram died, it didn't ever feel like Milgram died an easy death, you know? Amachi Juichiro was the main antagonist in Kansu's route. Or, you know, like the second main antagonist. So it feels like he was defeated way too easily. In order to leave her mark on the world, she created the virtual environment program Midnight Shores and released it to the net. It was at that time that she met Substance Concept, that strange girl who exists somewhere beyond the maelstrom of electrical signals that is the highway, by pure coincidence. The spiral staircase comes to an end. So too does the song as Iria arrives at the Tokyo Megafloat's heart. Beyond the staircase is a rainbow-colored room. Iria has seen the sight before. The highway. A special command that allows one to view an index of all the data scattered about Tokyo's mesh network. A world beyond the 5 human senses that normal humans can only access using synesthesia. Its image is projected onto the surface of the walls. Floating at the center of the room is a spherical hologram. Within the sphere is a sea of blinking rainbow lights and an array of lines connecting them. It's the exact same image that Iria's tone graph depicts, a diagram of Tokyo itself. Iria slowly makes her way over to the hologram.
Konnichiwa, Sabukon.
A voice of no discernible origin echoes through the room.
君が私を呼んでいたんだね。
A holographic cube appears in front of Iria. Midnight Shores' thumbnail is visible inside the translucent cube. But it's not just a simple virtual environment that's contained within this cube.
記憶？
Subcon nods, and the cube expands. The light from the projection overwrites Iria's surroundings, and she's drawn into the recording. Midnight Shores. The masterpiece Hagio Iria created together with Soria Yuka when she was confined in the fortress. Once development was complete, she used layer after layer of proxies to anonymously release it on a mesh network. In the blink of an eye, it swept all of Tokyo by storm. A staggering number of people were moved by Midnight Shores. The bank account she'd secretly opened was soon filled with more ad revenue than she knew what to do with. There were quite a few people who tried to scout her too. Companies all over Tokyo wanted her exceptional programming skills. But there was only a single person who managed to break through the numerous firewalls protecting the fortress and pinpoint Hagio Iria's location. One day, when Iria entered Midnight Shores to debug it, she found rainbow light leaking out of a section of her program. An unfathomable phenomenon. It looked like the door to a new dimension. Bewildered, Iria approached the anomaly. As she did, she could hear a voice, seemingly coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. Thanks to her enhanced empathy, Iria realized this rainbow light possessed the same distinct aura as the entity she had encountered when delving deep into the mesh network.
ここは浜辺の風景という仮想環境プログラム。
Wow, I guess she was still young when she developed this. I thought that Subcon wasn't able to talk at first. So this is interesting.
現実をプログラムでメッシュネットワーク上に再現したもの。
You'd think that the first thing that, Subcon would do would be to just oversee what's going on with Iria. But she was already, making contact with Iria. I don't know, man. I think I'm thinking, I'm overthinking things. This might be, after, she took notice of Iria and then she decided to make contact or something. Iria smiled broadly. Still, it doesn't make sense for her to be able to talk though, right? If this is the first time they're communicating.
はじめまして。私は 魚イリア、君は？
For some time, the roar of the waves was the only noise that could be heard. Though the whirling rainbow lights made no overt gestures, Iria could tell that the entity was confused. Just how much time had passed. I guess at this point though, she doesn't have a sense of self yet. That's why we don't see her, like, you know, idle body. One sensation of time becomes warped within virtual environments. It was possible the program was performing calculations at blinding speed in that moment, and that not much actual time had passed at all. Eventually, Iria noticed a change. The rainbow whirlpool had begun to take on human form. Yeah, I feel like this is too fast. Well, I don't know. Maybe from a supercomputer's perspective, it'd be easier to talk to if they had, you know, a body or some sort. Iria had come across the virtual idol substance concept in the past, when going through the archives of last century otaku media. The being before her was an expression of the network's collective subconscious. It had gained a sense of self, and from among the data scattered throughout the net, had chosen this form to represent itself.
そう、君はサブコンなんだね。
The moment she said that, the virtual environment began to glow. Music suffused the beach. Am I saying that right? In the modern era, synthetic vocalists were all the rage, and singers whose voices couldn't be replicated by human vocal cords were quite common. I mean, I listened to Vocaloids, so they were also pretty common in this era too, you know. Even Iria, who had never left her room, had listened to quite a bit of music. She'd gone through old records in the archives as well. But this was her first time hearing a song like this. There wasn't anything particularly noteworthy about the tune. The lyrics didn't convey a deep, powerful message. And yet, the song tugged at Iria's heartstrings. It brought forth the emotion she kept locked up deep inside. It felt as though she was facing a mirror. No, a kaleidoscope.
とても綺麗な歌。そう、聴いているだけで嬉しくなる歌だよ。
If they played music in heaven, this would be it. I don't know, Iria. This doesn't sound like that majestic of a song, to be honest. In heaven, I would expect, you know, something like those singing that you'd hear in churches and stuff. There was one thing Iria was sure of. This was Subcon's ode to Midnight Shores.
それがお前とサブスタンスコンセプトの出会いか。
Okay, so he was not facing off against Hokuyasu. The scenery of Midnight Shores vanishes. The roar of the waves goes with it, as does Subcon's voice. The only sound that can be heard now is the echoing of Milgram's footsteps.
ここは生命都市の中枢。いや、違うな。東京という街の中枢だ。
Iria doesn't try to run. She simply glares quietly at the approaching necromancer.
なぜ帝国エネルギー社がお前を狙ったかわかるか。
サブコンが必要だったんでしょ。話せるのは私だけだから。
なぜ帝国エネルギー社がサブスタンスコンセプトを必要とした。
それは。
Iria trails off. She understands Subcon better than anyone. She's also seen firsthand how unscrupulous Empire Energy Corp is. However,
リビングデッドはセックスをしない。それはなぜだかわかるか。
知らないわよ。
I mean, their body is dead. They can't actually reproduce anymore.
人間が死ぬ時に体から抜ける 21g。
Is that the so-called soul? I think this game actually talked about it before.
人間には魂がある。だがリビングデッドには魂がない。
だから何？
生殖行為には魂が必要とされる。だから生命都市を繁殖させるには魂が必要だ。
At long last, Iria finally understands why Empire Energy Corp wanted her so badly.
それがサブコンだっていうの？
ホットパイプを血管と考えればいい。流れる血によって各細胞が酸素を受け取り、活動が可能になる。
You know, how does Milgram know about all this is the question, right? Milgram always feels like he's a step ahead of every single, like, people that he faced off against. I wonder why he knows.
意識が生まれるのは電気信号のレイヤーだ。脳細胞が隣接する脳細胞と電気信号をやり取りする。だがそれぞれの細胞は一定の刺激に対して一定の反応を返しているだけだ。自分の送った電気信号が一つ上のレイヤーで意識を生み出していることを知らない。そう、人間がメッシュネットワーク上で情報をやり取りするときにサブスタンスコンセプトの存在を感知できないよう。
東京という脳に宿る魂。
The complex interlocking exchange of electrical signals along Tokyo's massive mesh network is what gave birth to Subcon. And the Tokyo Rebirth Project needed her to achieve its goal of reproduction between cities.
さて、ここでだ。東京の血管にレムレースを流したら生命都市はどうなる？
So I guess he still needs Subcon to actually dwell into the city to make it into an undead or, you know, a living dead city, right? I guess right now the living city is not really living. That's why it can't become an undead. I don't know. It's quite a it's quite a weird, like, explanation. Yeah, I guess it's not a living city yet because it doesn't have a soul. When Yamanuma used Sophia Kawarazaki's corpse to set a booby trap for us, my first thought was that pieces of shit remain pieces of shit even after death. But honestly, I was kinda impressed with him when he pulled the suicide bomber trick. It's kinda sad that it's only the trick he has up his sleeve. I guess we're not the ones to talk, since we fell for it, but still. Anyway, the fact that I can contemplate this crap means I'm still alive.
これって
I thought I was done for, but there's a glowing green wall in front of me. It's made of life material. The floor rose up to protect us just before the grenade exploded.
イリアだ。
No, it's Subcon. Iria. There's no way Iria can do shit like this, Son. Your wishful thinking is to the max right now. Kids nowadays will say that Son's on copium.
イリアが生きてる。
Ah. Come to think of it, she made a staircase for Son out of smart material back at the fortress, didn't she? If this really is Iria's handiwork, that's great news. The question is, where is she? Son and I followed the suggestion our linked X-brains give, and turned to the holographic map of the Tokyo Megafloat in the center of the room. A single point blinks in the map as it's projected onto chunks of flesh and shards of metal.
鹿か。
How do we know about this place's map? Is the X-brain really that smart that in just a couple of minutes, they'd able to, like, 3D map the whole structure? What the fuck? This place is big. I don't think it's possible personally, but I guess in sci-fi, most things are possible. Someone immediately gets moving. As I follow after him, I glance back into the room for a moment. The thing is, when it comes to sci-fi, it's kind of hard to put like, what is it? The restrictions or the limits of what is possible and what not is possible, right? It all depends on the creator at this point, or the author of the work. As I follow after him, I glance back into the room for a moment. What remains of the two corpses is being blown around the room by the fierce winds. There remains no trace of the fact that Sophia Korizaki and Yamanuma Kagekatsu were once alive. It's a gruesome way for them to go, but I guess it's better than having their corpses defiled by necromancers. I don't know if people from the Empire Energy Corp belong in heaven or hell, but either way, rest in peace, you two. Surprised Etika even believe in heaven or hell.
マジかよ。
The elevator is not working. We made a pretty flashy entrance, so they had plenty of opportunity to shut it down. Going down's gonna be better than going up, but that's still a fuck ton of stairs.
飛び降りるか。
まさか。
Someone's crappy joke gets a small smile out of me as we run down the stairs. There's a bunch of energy elite living on the Tokyo Megafloat, but with how little time Milgram had, he probably only managed to turn the SAD soldiers into living dead. We make it to the ground floor without seeing a single zombie. Yeah, I guess we don't have the Lemur's gas here. We don't have Ikatsu to turn everyone into a living dead. There's a massive green water tank dominating the lobby. The liquid inside it is lit by the luciferin that the Megafloat is known for. Right outside the lobby, I see the burning wreck of our vulture. As soon as I take a step toward it, a bunch of SAD soldiers come out of hiding, their guns pointed at us. We dive behind a thick self-repair glass protecting the tank and assess the situation while shards of glass rain down on us. There's dusky red dripping from their gaping wounds, so they've got to be living dead too. Chances are, they'll be getting reinforcements soon. The staircase we came down stops here. We need to run across the lobby to take the stairs to the basement.
突っ切るぞ。そう？
後悔するぞ。
I know that. It's possible my old man's still alive inside that vulture. He might need my help. But...
エクスブレインが言ってんだ。
無視するのが木場野原エチカじゃないのか。
I don't really have a comeback for that. Since when did this blockhead become so considerate?
わかってねえな。
I make up my mind and cock my shotgun.
私は無視してんじゃねえよ。反抗してるんだ。
We leap out from opposite sides of the tank in perfect sync. We didn't set a signal or anything, but we've known each other long enough that we don't need X-brains to match up our movements. In the brief moment the SAD soldiers are distracted, we pincer them from the sides. Bang bang, I fire away with my shotgun, and when I have to stop to reload, someone jumps in to cover me. He takes aim with his re-eliminator and brings down the oncoming SAD soldier with a beautiful headshot. It takes a bit, but my X-brain finally figures out what's up. That is, when we're both following our X-brain suggestions, we're invincible. We mow down the horde of living dead and slowly make our way to the exit. But one last obstacle appears just before we reach it. Technically, the only difference between a high-fi and a low-fi is that someone spent time modifying a high-fi. Tweaking a living dead so its emotions deteriorate slower and printing it up so it looks like a living person makes it a hi-fi. But remodeling it into a high-tech bioweapon also makes it a hi-fi. The Ice Age cut off intercity infrastructure, so most cities have to recycle their old century trash to get raw materials. Metal-based weapons are super valuable now. It's not that surprising that someone would come up with the idea of using human corpses as a basis for new weapons instead of metal parts. We call these kinds of things living dead weapons. They don't look anything like normal people. Their bones and muscles have been artificially enhanced, and they're often covered in heavy armor and weaponry. They come in all shapes and sizes. Some can be as large as a car. I mean, we already know about the tank class Living Dead. I don't know why they actually hype up this guy. We already even saw them when we were getting close to the Vulture, right? This lumbering Hulk is a tank class Living Dead. And pretty big even by their standards. I thought they were actually gonna show like a totally new Living Dead. It and its buddies were the ones shooting at the Vulture earlier. From the air, they were sitting ducks for our smart air-to-ground missiles. From down here though, this guy is pretty fucking intimidating. I'm not gonna lie.
どうする相棒
The suggestion my ex-brain comes up with isn't the most inventive. I can't really blame it though. There's not many options against a giant like this. Soen and I spread out, forcing the Living Dead to split its attention. The railgun on its back isn't gonna be much use at close range. Plus, with how big this guy is gonna have a hard time maneuvering him. Or so I thought, but I guess I was wrong.
決めよバカ
The tank class moves its 6 legs in a circle, doing a neutral spin turn. Its cannon is aimed right at Soen now. I take out my chainsaw and circle around behind it. Only to discover it's got another face on its ass.
だよこれ
Its ass, I mean its rear mouth, opens up and a gun muzzle pops out. That's a 12.7mm heavy machine gun. I dodged the barrage by the skin of my teeth and moved to close the distance between us, brandishing my chainsaw in one hand. If I can just chop off one of its legs, it'll lose its mobility. I throw in a feint, then go for one of the tank class's legs. Sparks fly as the ultra-hard polycrystalline diamond blade cuts into the giant's joints. I'm definitely doing some damage, but the tank class's armor is too thick. It kicks me away before I can cut all the way through. I hit the ground hard, but the tank class doesn't even give me a moment to rest. I roll across the ground, barely avoiding the talon legs that are trying to skewer me. While I'm dodging, I manage to roll myself directly under the hi-fi. It scuttles left and right, trying to get me out from under it. But I keep rolling around to stay in my newfound safe spot. Damn it! This isn't a time to be doing some weird acrobatics routine. Looks like the hi-fi is tired of playing tag too. It jumps up into the air and retracts all of its legs so it can crush me with its torso.
待ってたぜ
Your stomach's wide open. With how reinforced this guy is, you'd think that there would be armor in his stomach too. Take this. But I guess they gotta have like a weakness in these hi-fis, right? I cut through its soft, unarmored belly, sending chunks of dusky red flying everywhere. Rabbit Punch goes in deep, but the tank class won't go down that easily. It's still trying to crush me even with a chainsaw in its stomach. Fortunately, The damage it's taken slows it down just enough for me to crawl out of the way in time. Well, I'd say that went pretty well in terms of buying time. Right, Zone? His face is covered by his X-Brain, so I can't tell what kind of expression he's making. But I don't need to. Our thoughts are in perfect sync. He loads his re-eliminator with the bullet his MPP printed. It's the same high-power micro-explosive bullet he used to take out the 8-armed freak. Zone takes aim at the tank class's head and squeezes the trigger. The bullet finds its mark, and a small crack appears in the tank class's forehead. Alright, my turn again. I pull out my shotgun and swap places with Zone. The tungsten shotgun slug slam? What the fuck does that mean? Into the freak's frozen forehead, causing frozen chunks of dusky red flesh to fly everywhere. I let loose on full automatic, blasting shot after shot into the high-five. I push forward from point-blank range, shoving my shotgun inside the opening and shattering the living dead's body from negative range. Not even a tank class can survive 12-gauge slugs ricocheting. Right? Ricocheting? Around inside its body. Each shot causes it to shudder until finally it stops moving. And that's a wrap.
お疲れ様。
This was a magnificent teamwork. Unlike when we were really having difficulty fighting the tank class with Mitsumi.
Thank you.
Zone, having taken care of the face on the other side, walks over and hands me my chainsaw. I take it and turn around just in time to see. Two new tank classes walk in. I hit my X-Brain's warning and drop to the ground. A second later, a railgun blast flies over my head. It explodes upon hitting the water tank, and glowing green water starts gushing out of the hole. I consider my options as I feel water rush beneath my feet. It'll be pretty tough for us to each take out one on our own. Besides, our main goal is to rescue Iria. We can't afford to waste time here. That said, running away really isn't my style. Well, I guess Okuyasu doesn't really need our help. Damn, his body is insane looking. Oh shit! Is he a living dead?
Oyaji!
Kibanohara Hokuyasu strides forward, the burning wreckage of the gunship illuminating him from behind. His footsteps create ripples in the flowing stream. I guess this was what Milgram did when he put Iria in those, in the... What do you call it? Like the hook? He's no longer wearing his military uniform. Military police uniform. It probably got so burned that he took it off. On his arm, the crest of the close quarters armed martial arts training unit. In his hands, two re-eliminators. Time to face off, Ethica. Thank God. He's still alive. Ethica, did you not see his eyes? Wait, he's actually still alive? It looks like he's actually fighting the tank class. He sprints forward with such vigor, it's like the fall didn't hurt him at all. Okay, he's not a living dead? I thought that Milgram would be doing stuff. What the fuck? He one-shot that guy! He punches straight through the right tank class's weak point, its face, with one blow pulverizing its brain. This guy's stats are off the charts. The left one turns around to face him, but it's already too late. My old man ducks low, pounds the living dead with a muzzle spike uppercut, and shots through its head. It's a one-sided slaughter. The high-fives didn't even get a chance to fight back. Is he alive though? Okay, he's alive. It doesn't look alive. A trail of blood dribbles out of his mouth as he turns around. It's the wrong color. Okay, there we go. There we go. That's my Milgram. Never misses a beat. But why did he kill the 10 class living dead? That doesn't make any sense. My X-Brain's analysis leaves no room for argument. It tells me the truth, clear as day. My old man is dead.
助けてくれたんじゃないのか。
ミルグラムは命令した。木場の原エチカを殺せ。
Okay.
邪魔者には消えてもらった。それだけだ。
I see now. He's the same as always. He'll get rid of anything in his way. I don't know what emotions lurk behind that iron mask. No. My old man's a living dead now. He doesn't have emotions anymore. So I don't need to show him any mercy. I just need to re-kill him with like every other living dead.
そう、先に行け。
でも、
親父の安否は確認できた。こっちの助けにはならない。だから今は生きてるイリアちゃんの救出を優先しろ。
Yeah, this makes sense, right? Ethica fighting Hokuyasu and then Soen fighting Milgram.
だからって。
I was wondering if they were actually gonna 3v1 Milgram, but of course that's not gonna happen.
そう！
Everyone gotta have their moments, I guess. I raise my voice. Every second is precious. We can't waste any time discussing this.
イリアちゃんが待ってる。
Milgram is doing like a really interesting order to Hokuyasu though, by asking him to, kill only Ethica. I don't know why he gave that order. It would make a lot more sense for him to also delay Soen, but I guess he also wants to fight Soen.
エチカ。
But yeah, sometimes I feel like Milgram does some stupid shit. Soen nods, swallowing his conflicting emotions. Once the decision's made, he doesn't hesitate. He runs toward the staircase heading underground, without so much as a backward glance.
すぐ追いかける。
I mutter softly enough that he can't hear. I then turn to face my old man. Water's still spilling from the broken tank, and the whole lobby is flooded now. The glowing green floor gives the scene an almost surreal vibe. Little too fantastical for a fight with a crochetty old man, if you ask me. What's crochetty?
ミルグラムにレムレース撃たれたのか？
借りを返し損ねた。私も近接柔術の研鑽を積んだが、ミルグラムはそれ以上だった。
Well, I figured that's what happened. But I can't help but smile.
墜落で死んだわけじゃないのか。だったら罪悪感を抱く必要もねえな。
ああ、言い訳もできないまま死ぬがいい。
I don't want to hear that from a dead guy. My bayonet slices through nothing but air. He's too fast. His re-eliminator's muzzle spike drives into my flank. If he shoots at this range, my bulletproof coat won't be able to protect me. Ignoring the pain, I slash at him with Rabbit Punch, but my old man dodges with ease. My breath comes in pain gasps. Shit. The gash I got from fighting the Sagittarius reopened. Re-eliminators and the X-Brain are the two symbols of the close quarters arm martial arts. But even without his X-Brain, my old man's movements are decisive, purposeful. Before the X-Brain was developed, he fought for years using just his re-eliminators, so I can't say I'm surprised. His fighting style is a textbook example of how close quarters arm martial arts should be performed. He makes exactly the right moves, with exactly the right force, using exactly the right methods. He knows how to take the least amount of risks possible, even in hotly contested close combat. Watching him fight is like watching a master calligrapher paint brushstrokes. Meanwhile, my fighting style is sloppy as shit. Forget calligraphy, my handwriting is some chicken scratch. But you know, it's only martial arts competitions where the difference in raw skill decides the victor. Unfortunately for you, this is a good old-fashioned slugfest to the death. Anything goes. It doesn't matter if your form is beautiful or ugly. The last man standing is the winner. And tonight, Rabbit Punch is thirsting for zombie blood. Is this game gonna end at like -0? Or like 0.00? I run down, 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 and further down. Ever since parting with Etika, I've been sprinting down the spiral staircase. My one goal is to save Iria. Fervently praying that she's still safe, I reached the end of the staircase. The room I'm in feels like it's part of a different world. It's almost entirely empty, devoid of any superfluous embellishments, but lit up in the color of the rainbow. The vibrant, ever-changing hologram in the center looks like an enlarged version of Iria's tone graph. This seems like an open space. I was wondering, like, how come we don't see Milgram? I can see two figures in front of the hologram. Hagyo Iria and
待ちかねたぞ、長岡総雲。パブロフが殺されたということは、あの時よりまともになったということか。
My heart starts to pound at Milgram's words. Memories of our fight at the Ikebukuro CPC flash through my mind. The fear threatens to crack my composure. But I won't make the same mistake as last time. I came here prepared. Yeah, I guess this is going to be the climax, like I said. He is removing it. This is the source of my fear. So I'll strip it away. I face Milgram alone, with just my own strength.
ただの奇策ではないこと、見せてもらおう。
My real eliminators and his side pistols clash. I fight Milgram head on, without waiting for any suggestions I know aren't coming. He smiles happily at that. He lashes out with a side pistol, aiming for my life. His speed is superhuman, and his movements are forceful but effective. He launches attack after attack without giving me a moment to breathe, and each strike is heavy, accurate, and quick. What enables him to perform these exceptionally efficient movements is his anti-armor suit. He's using the suit's power to kill the effects of inertia, allowing him to approach the theoretical physical limit of economy of motion. Milgram circles around at speeds faster than any human can achieve, but I'm still able to match him. I step forward when needed, punch when I have to, and pull the trigger if necessary. Despite the rapidly changing situation, the ideal counter naturally comes to me every time. The moment my brain receives an input, it's already converted it into output. Milgram's fast enough that there's a limit to how well I could handle him if I were waiting for suggestions to react to. What's Iria doing? But I've experienced my father's close quarters arm martial arts for myself. X-brains are nothing more than teachers who help develop your subconscious. But once those skills have been taught, the student should be able to fight on their own. I put my faith in the subconscious strength sleeping within me. I parry each of Milgram's strikes at just the right angle. I use the least amount of movement necessary to evade. No unexpected situations occur. I'm in full control. The vast hall is empty and featureless. There's no terrain advantage to be gained, or outside factors that could influence the fight. This is a battle of pure fighting prowess. We slam our fists against each other, dodge shots with the smallest of sidesteps, and keep each other from getting any decisive body blows in. I'm doing more than good enough. I've conquered my fear and drawn out my latent potential. I'm not just even with Milgram, I'm surpassing him. I might really be able to protect the area this time.
その速さ悪くない
That kind of thinking is like a death flag zone. I was naive. Milgram changes gears and punches with such force that his side pistol howls as it approaches. I try to deflect the strike away from me, but pushes his way inside my guard through brute force. I guess, but he pushes his way, okay. There's a typo there. His other fist goes for my unguarded torso. It's impossible for me to dodge. I leap backward to lessen the impact, but I can't neutralize it completely. My consciousness flickers, and I struggle desperately to avoid blacking out. I place a hand on the floor to control my sliding, and look up. There's a knee. I subconsciously try to dodge out of the way, and manage to do so in time. But the wind pressure resulting from his attack alone is enough to disrupt my stance. The sheer impact of his step sends a chill across my body. I mustn't be afraid. I retreat and try to catch my breath. Merely being grazed by his blows is enough to upset my balance, while receiving a direct hit could easily send me flying across the room. What makes Milgram so fearsome is his overwhelming physical strength, a product of the high-temperature superconducting motor embedded in his armor. The nigh inhuman strength allows Milgram to perform even inefficient movements with staggering speed, overcoming his opponent's technique with sheer brute force.
そんなものか
You'd think that the armor would be, used a lot more by all the villains in this game. But nope, only Milgram has it.
その程度で愛する者を守れると
As his words pierce through me, I tighten my grip on my re-eliminators. I get that the armor was supposed to be like a prototype or something from like the old civilization, but I do think they have the tech for, to mass produce it. Or at least like make a second one so that someone is able to match his strength in case he dies, right? From the corner of my vision, I can see Iria's worried expression as he watches our battle unfold. But I guess Milgram doesn't really want to survive. So that's why a lot of his, motivations or, the things that he does are quite weird. I came here to protect her. I've used my invisible X-Brain. Regardless of how much strength it grants him, Milgram's anti-armor suit is merely a form of powered exoskeleton. It's a piece of equipment that amplifies the wearer's physical strength, bringing it to its absolute peak. Which means, it's also possible to use such an opponent's power against them. In fact, it's precisely due to Milgram's augmented strength that I have a chance. The disconnect between body and suit will create an opening I can exploit.
長岡武之もそうだった。
I had the perfect opportunity for a follow-up attack, but I couldn't bring myself to move.
力に力で対抗するのではなく、技で言います。この短期間で長岡武之の技を身につけたか。
I think he also said with that amount of time, which is quite surprising, right? Because it wasn't really all that long before, after their first exchange. I saw my father's battles from his perspective. In a sense, one could say it was a suggestion presented to my subconscious, to my consciousness, by the X-brain that is my father. His experiences now live on within me.
いいぞ。とてもいいぞ。長岡ソーン。
Milgram proclaims, enraptured. Suddenly, his side pistols shift in his hands. By merely changing the way he holds them in his grip, the reach of his attacks becomes dangerously unpredictable. My mind scrambles to keep up with him. Each blow he throws at me embodies lightning speed, Herculean strength, and expert cunning, leaving me at a growing disadvantage. While using every last fragment of my waning composure to deflect his blows with my muzzle spikes, I desperately try to recall my father's movements. The blood coursing in my veins will help me. It must. And yet, Milgram's advantage grows larger with each passing second. The armor-piercing rounds I fire off out of sheer desperation prove thoroughly useless against his thick anti-armor suit. My only chance is to aim for the one part of his body that remains exposed. His head.
そんなものか、長岡ソーン。
Needless to say, that was just Milgram's way of luring me into a trap. He knows full well I'm aiming for his head, and proceeds to sink one of his side pistols into my thigh. As I reel from the pain, I hear his superconducting motor whir to life. A split second later, Milgram tackles me with the power of a wrecking ball and sends me flying across the room. So we're clearly at a disadvantage here. There's no need for concern. I let my guard down on purpose. This time, I lured him into a trap. What can you do though? You're flying because of the tackle. While still flying through the air, I swiftly holster the eliminator in my left hand and pull back the slide on the one in my right. I hold it in position, exposing the empty chamber. With my left hand, I grab the bullet I printed out in advance. I feed the bullet into the chamber and press the slide stop. With that, my gun is ready to be fired again at any moment. I then do the same thing again. So you use 2 MPP bullets? The entire process takes no more than 2 seconds. The first shot to hit him is the one from my right gun. An instant freeze bullet with liquid nitrogen. Is this the first time we see this? One of Nagaoka's own specialty bullets. Contains liquid nitrogen cooled to negative 200 degrees Celsius. Targets are frozen on contact. A liquid of minus 200 degrees splashes out upon impact, freezing the surface of his anti-armor suit. Immediately afterward, the other bullet hits him as well. This time, it's a micro-miniature compact explosive round, no larger than a handgun bullet. One of Nagoka's specialty bullets resembles a pistol bullet in size and shape, but is far deadlier than it appears. Upon contact with its target, it spews forth an ultra-high pressure metal jet, tearing through both armor and flesh. Do you really need the freeze bullet though? For that, upon impact, it releases an ultra-high pressure metal jet that eats into Milgram's anti-armor suit, effortlessly breaking through the frozen surface. But why would you need to freeze it in the first place? I guess to freeze his movements. That would make sense, I guess. In short, once the liquid nitrogen had created low temperature brittleness, the compact explosive round hit the armor as well. Having been shot with 2 consecutive specialty bullets, Milgram freezes in place, like a robot with a depleted battery. I guess it's to make the armor more brittle. That also makes sense. Anti-armor suits never made it past the experimental stage in US Army labs. Their durability is critically lacking. When the intensely powerful output of the armor's joints experiences even a slight disruption, it can result in catastrophic consequences for the wearer's body. Now you tell me this, Son. In essence, Milgram has been forced into a standing position and is now unable to move.
素晴らしいぞ、長岡壮が。それでこそ待った甲斐があったというものだ。
今さら何を。お前はもう終わりだ。
I aim my freshly reloaded re-eliminators at Milgram's forehead. Necromancers are wanted dead or alive. There's no reason for me to hesitate. What I'm doing now is almost like a prayer. A well-practiced set of moves I've performed countless times before. Milgram looks almost like he's daring me to shoot him as I point my twin re-eliminators at his head. From this close of a range, I could finish him off with my eyes closed. As my finger squeezes down on the trigger, the boron powder is ignited. Bullets are propelled forward from their chambers, ready to seal Milgram's fate. The most powerful necromancer that's ever lived is about to be put down for good. Or rather, that's what was supposed to happen. Following the muzzle flash, the bullets that were meant to split open Milgram's skull end up whizzing through empty air. So what happens now? By the time the loud, metallic noise from Milgram's discarded armor reaches my ears, he's already disappeared in a flash? What the? You're telling me he removed the armor that quick? And you're telling me he's still as, you know, fast without it. He's behind me. The sweeping barrage I unleashed after pulling the trigger should have left him no means of escape. At least that's what I thought. Rather than relying on pure speed, he exploited a psychological blind spot. Even as the fear of having my mind read begins to cast its shadow over my heart, I do all I can to stave it off while trying to locate Milgram in the room. Right now, the one thing I fear the most is... Milgram, now freed from his anti-armor suit, grabs Iria by the neck from behind and holds her up into the air.
イリアを離せ。
いい目だ。
She said baka to freaking Milgram. Iria squirms and struggles to free herself from Milgram's iron grip, to no avail. He stands firm and still, towering before me like a stone sculpture of a god.
なぜ危険を顧みず、この場所へとやってきた。 東京の平和を守るためか、私との決着をつけるためか、それとも崩御イリアへの愛のため。
I suppress the rage building in my heart as I call out to Milgram.
イリアを返せ。お前がイリアを傷つけることは許さない。
He could do that pretty easily soon.
ならば愛を語ってもらおう。
なんだと。
さあ語れ。存分に語るんだ。
ふざけるな。
ふざけてなどいない。
やめろ。
Iria sounds a pained yelp as Milgram's fingers sink into her neck, putting pressure on her spine. I remind myself that Milgram is powerful enough to have withstood the force produced by his anti-armor suit. He could easily snap Iria's neck if he so desired.
語ればイリアを無事に返すんだろうな。
お前の言葉が奇跡を起こすほどの愛に満ちていれば。
His reply is steeped in mockery. I have no idea why he's suddenly demanding this of me. But with Iria's life on the line, I have no choice but to comply. I stand my ground and look her in the eye. This is a very awkward turn of events.
そう、
What exactly does Milgram want, man?
僕はずっと自分が死んでいると思っていた。入力に出力を返す機械になりたかった。死んでいる人間を殺すだけの意味のない機械。
Hagyo Iria. The mysterious girl I found in the trunk of that car. In those silent ruins caked in snow.
でも僕は君に会ってしまった。君は生きていた。楽しんで、苦しんで、喜んで、悲しんで。僕に生きる喜びを教えてくれた。
Iria's eyes are moist with tears. I'll do anything to keep her safe. Putting my feelings into words should hardly be an obstacle.
変わりたいと思った。僕は怖い。今でも君を特別な関係と認めるのが怖い。君がほんの少し未来を恐れたみたいに。でも僕はだからこそ進みたい。この恐怖と向き合って君を愛したいと思った。いや、違うな。
I shake my head and take a deep breath. I have to tell her exactly how I feel.
僕は君を愛してる。
You know, Son, I feel like Milgram is gonna snap her neck after you finish your confession. Just to really make you angry.
そう私もそう
See ya, Iria. What just happened? Why? Why are there fingers sticking out of Iria's chest? They pierced her and grabbed something inside. As it slowly pulled out, I can clearly see the rainbow-colored lights through the large gaping hole in Iria's chest.
それ神は その独り子を保うほどに世を愛したまえ。
Well, he didn't snap her neck, but he certainly did something else.
すべて彼を信ずる者の滅びずして、常しえの命を得んためなり。
Man, you really fall for him hook, line, and sinker, Son. Milgram discards the thing he's pulled out from Iria's chest. What lands on the ground is Iria's own heart. Jesus, that's a really big hole. She's been cast aside along with it. Is Subcon like doing something? What's going on? Is someone gonna resurrect her as a living dead? What the hell is going on right now? My eyes are met with a bright light, tinged with verdure. Beyond it, I see a lone raven fly past. We're in a church. Oh, we're on the very exact first scene we saw of, I assume, Takeyuki reviving his wife. A place I have never been to.
ここはそうか、あの教会か。
Milgram mutters something to himself, but his voice sounds distant to my ears. Iria is lying motionless on the ground. Her blood spreads out across the stone floor, tinting it bright red. Her extracted heart continues to tremble nearby, but its faint contractions will soon give way to the stillness of death. I simply stand in place and watch it all unfold in numb astonishment. But really, how else am I supposed to react?
愛していたのだろう。ならば、お前にできることは2つある。
I slowly lift my gaze to look at Milgram.
さあ、選ぶがいい。
Takeyuki chose to revive his dead wife. I think Son will choose to actually kill you, Milgram. Reviving the dead, I think I mentioned this a couple of episodes back. It's not because of the person, or it's not for the person that you revive. It's for selfish actions, right?
最愛の人を殺した相手にひざまずくか、それとも私を殺すか。
I don't know what I would personally do, to be honest. What the heck is going on? We did reach point 0, but what the hell is going on to the loading screen? Okay, we went back in time. Alright, I think we're gonna end the episode right here though. We are most definitely reaching the climax. I feel like we could actually finish this in one more episode. So tomorrow might probably be the finale for this game. Took a while. This is actually episode 36, I believe. So the finale might be episode 38. or 39 if there's an actual like epilogue once we do all the routes that wraps up all the routes, you know? Because there are some true routes like that, right? I don't know if this game will necessarily have it. That was an insane course of action or course of events. I expected Iria to die in this route because none of the heroines actually die in their own respective routes, right? But in Iria's case, it was supposed to be like mimicking Takeyuki's dilemma, which in his case, his wife did die. So I am curious what Soen is gonna do in this case. I personally would choose to like kill Milgram, but then again, like I could understand Soen wanting to kill Milgram because he really likes Iria, right? And he probably wants revenge. But as a third party right now, my love for Iria is not really love. It's more like I like Iria as a character. So if I were in like Soen's shoes, I probably would, I don't know, maybe just leave the area or something. But alright, enough about that. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Give this video a like if you guys like it. Sub if you guys haven't. Patreon will be getting these episodes early access. So you guys can pledge to the Patreon for that if you want early access. I'll be uploading all the Tokyo Necro episodes all at once we are done. And then we can start Kichiko rants back up again after that. But yeah, pretty enjoyable time right now. And hopefully the next episode is going to be the climax of the story. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next episode. See ya.